Welcome to another week of the Xbox North podcast. This week we get into a phenomenal last half of July for Game Pass offerings, Ubisoft's XDefiant, and the lackluster EA Play Conference, all this and more. But first, you'll notice things look a little different this week. We are sadly a man down. Our host Andrew couldn't make it today, sadly. But don't worry, he will return next week for sure. But the show must go on. So I will be your host this week, Joshua James, me. Before we get the show going, don't forget to subscribe and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. If you don't want to watch us as well, feel free to find us on Spotify, Google Podcast, and all those other podcast services as well. Also, feel free to give us a comment. Always want to know what our listeners are thinking for sure. Also, follow us on Reddit, Instagram. Just look up Xbox North Podcast, and on Twitter, look up @North Podcast. But let's get this week going. Sorry if I'm a little, rusty as a host. This is my first time, so I know Andrew's usually our guy. But we do have a lot to talk about this week. But before we kind of get into the news and all that, got that formal stuff out of the way, let's, introduce who's here today. Dan, how's everything going? What you playing? How's life for the last week?
Not too bad. It's been busy, but I managed to make my way through Doom and finish that finally. All on Hurt Me Plenty. It's a rough go.
Dude, that game is hard, for sure.
Yeah. And I was so lucky I made it through the whole boss by the end there. I had just like a few lives left and managed to burn through all those and just finish it on my last life without dying and having to start that all over again without all those extra lives.
Wow. Don't even know.
I also got it working on my TV too, so I was playing in some 4K and turned on all the cheats, and it's ridiculous with all the cheats on because you're just basically invincible, and I'm pretty sure you are invincible because I just turned them all.
I feel like games these days forget about cheats, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, it's nice to see that Doom had like a ton of cheats inside the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just had to unlock them all and everything, and I find that's the way with the newer games. A lot of unlocking all the cheats and everything instead of just entering them like we used to. And remember the Grand Theft Auto cheats were pretty iconic.
Yeah. Yep.
Spawning a tank on top of somebody.
Oh yeah, just spawning your
Infinite
jet
ammo.
or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Infinite ammo, yeah. That game was because it was like the first of its kind with the sandbox, so you're like, yo, just give me these tools of destruction and let me go at it, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's good that you're having fun with, had fun with Doom. Definitely a tough game.
Yeah, I'm playing that on easy, and it's still not easy, and I just can't.
Honestly,
I can't imagine.
It took a while.
halfway.
I tried, but I wasn't even getting past the first stage on normal, so I had to bump it down so I could get through it, and
I found I really had to use my chainsaw a lot. I just live off my chainsaw because it keeps regenerating the first bar of the chainsaw. So just every couple of minutes, just like going over to somebody, chainsaw the next guy.
Yeah,
just
you always got
a little
keep
bit of
that
health
ammo
and all
up.
that ammo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just a smidgy of health, just enough, right?
Yeah, just enough to keep me alive because I kept going down to like 2 or like 4 health, and I'm like, oh no.
That's good that you're having a good time with that and you had a good week. But Jesse, how you doing, bud? What are you playing this week?
Oh, I'm doing very well. Just this week, I beat Hellblade, and can't remember the other game I beat. I could check my achievements here. And pretty much just playing Red Dead Online. Downloaded Control. I want to start to beat that. Just cleaning that up, and I want to start A Plague's Tale. But what I'm really waiting for is The Ascent, because I want to stream that, and I've been taking some time off. And last episode I said I was going to be there Monday, but I decided not to do that just because of the days that I missed. Instead of fumbling around a game, I would just this is the game that I've wanted to stream for a little while. So once that comes out, we'll be back, and hopefully it'll be with a co-op experience, and I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah. Yep.
Just leave that game open so I can just hop on whenever.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely.
Hopefully it is a nice.
I'm really excited to just get my hands on it because I watched that little. They had like a little gameplay trailer.
Like
and
a
deep dive,
minute, like overview. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a deep dive, and I'm all in. It's Unreal Engine 4 mastery, and I love it because that's a beautiful engine, and they were talking about the cover systems, and it just looks really fun. It looks like a really fun action game. It's cyberpunk RPG, and I love cyberpunk, and really excited for that. Like,
yeah, no, me too. I like the cover system. Oh, me?
Yeah, what'd you
Myself?
get up to this week?
What did I do?
what'd you do?
Buddy?
I've had a pretty good week. Got my second shot, so that totally killed me on Monday.
Oh, wow.
My wife totally got a really bad fever out of it, so she was down for like 2 days. Her fever was like 100, just above 100. I had like a splitting headache for 2 days, but I'm feeling fine. Second shot's done. Looking forward to getting the family back together. Sounds like we're going to have a family get-together at the end of August, which sounds good.
Yeah.
Family will finally meet my daughter, which she was kind of born at the height of, not the height of COVID, just she was born the November, so about 4 months before all this started. Well, I guess it started in November on the other side of the world, but and
lockdowns in March.
Yep.
Yeah, then it happened in March, and so now she's almost 2, and very few, if any. I think I have like 2 of my cousins have met her, and 2 of my second cousins, which is funny because it's their kids on separate occasions. But that's pretty much it. So, and my mom needs to have a better relationship with her because of distance and stuff. So
absolutely.
I'm just happy that's done, and she can start being the family can start to kind of get back to normal. But what I've been playing is Doom, just like all you guys as well.
Yep.
I beat it. I had to, call me not a real gamer or whatever. Not like I'm reviewing the fucking game, but I had to bump it down to easy about more than halfway actually. It started after that spike when the Marauder comes, and like after like the 5th Marauder, I was like, you know what? I'm getting so close to the end of this game. There's so much good stuff coming that I want to get this done because I want to start
thinking the same thing.
Other games.
Right.
And I started, speaking of starting other games, I started, Chris Tales, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and
very
I'm going to be starting Death's Door. So, let's get right into it right now. The first topic is Death's Door. It is a new indie game. It's getting amazing buzz. You can call it this year's Hades pretty much for indie game. It's an isometric, very much an action-based hack and slash, almost like a Diablo, more kind of like I think a fast-paced Zelda, but like the top view Zelda games. Yeah. And it's gotten like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. It is a commercial darling right now, which I feel bad for other games that came out on the same day as that game, because everyone and your grandparents were talking about that game, especially on Twitter. And it's it's an interesting release as well. Death's Door is the game I'm talking about specifically. And it's an interesting release because it's an Xbox exclusive from Devolver is the publisher. And it's Xbox exclusive and PC, but it's not on Game Pass. And this is one of the few, I feel like, exclusive games that come out, and we're so spoiled these days that it not being on Game Pass is kind of weird. And I personally bought it, but it was funny. I purchased it through my Microsoft points, actually. So Game Pass
really
provided the purchase of this,
one way or
this game in the end, which I found very interesting. Even though it wasn't on Game Pass, to me, this is still a Game Pass game because Game Pass provides, right?
Yeah.
But have any of you checked out this game? It has a very unique art style. It's about a crow.
I saw a little bit of it, and like that was kind of what drew me to it. Was like cute little crow and everything, and he's got like a lightsaber basically, like just glowing red sword, and like he just looks like a little Jedi crow rolling around like solving puzzles and stuff. Yeah, it looks like a cool little like sort of arcadey game and everything, and it's got a really nice visual style. I like the different platforms and everything. It's all very open, so it's top down, but you can see a lot because it's such an open kind of concept game.
Yeah. I was watching a couple of the reviews. I'm very interested of diving into it. So I haven't touched it yet, but all the reviews I've seen, I watched a Skill Up review, and he said it's very meticulously designed. Every arena gives you just enough room to fight.
Looks gorgeous.
And the game's just challenging enough to feel very satisfying, but not impossible. Yeah. And here it's if you just smash through it, could be 6 to 10 hours to 15 hours. Really, it sounds like if you really go hard on trying to find the collectibles and the upgrades, that you can probably get 15 to 20 hours out of the game. So yeah, it looks like a beefy title and well
it's like
designed.
a Zelda game too. It's really cool. Has that same kind of
yeah, exactly. That was the kind of feel that I got from it. Like. Especially in the dungeons in like Ocarina of Time. Like I remember it was very much better camera angles in this one than there were in Ocarina of Time from what I remember. But
well, yeah, it's more like that classic Zelda, right?
Yeah,
where it's
old school.
The top dungeon. Yeah. There is another game coming out that's similar to it, like Tunic. But playing the two, I played the demo for Tunic and I played this. Well, I didn't play this yet, but from what I've seen of it, actually, I played it for like 2 seconds. Like I got off the bus at the beginning and I just kind of moved my character around and felt it. If I'm comparing the two, which is probably the closest these two can compare to each other, I like the fast motion of these games. So it's kind of like almost like a Souls-like game where you're collecting souls for upgrades,
right?
And but it's not as slow and precise. Well, you have to be very precise, but not as not just as like clunky feeling as like Souls games like Demon Souls and not so much Bloodborne. Bloodborne's a lot closer. So you can say if there is like a 3D game like that to compare it to, it'd probably be not so much Dark Souls, but more so Bloodborne. But yeah, man, I look forward to playing it next week. I'll definitely have a better idea of what it does offer next week and a better opinion on it for sure.
Can't wait to hear about that. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I wish I could send it to you guys after I'm done. Like that'd be
it's okay. I got almost enough points. I think I'm probably gonna check it out too.
Yeah, farm. Yeah, everyone needs to farm those points. Like that game was like $25 Canadian. I missed the sale at the beginning, sadly, but I still have like $10 left in points.
Wow.
But farm points, people. Do your quests. Do your searches. It's so easy to get those points. And then if you see a game,
logging in gets
like
you
that,
what, 5 points? Right?
5. Sometimes they triple it up and give you 20 points.
Oh.
There is a monthly quest that gives you 1,000 points every month.
Onto the app and
you can get at least almost 200 points a day. So you can get a couple thousand just from doing that a month. Plus the quests on top of that, and there's like surveys, and so going back to if money is, an issue, which, who wants to, spending money on games is
It's
tough.
the Game Pass, man. It's like,
It's expensive, and yeah.
And even if, if I want to buy a AAA game coming up in the future, I will save enough for at least half the purchase of that. And I could buy that AAA game, in my eyes, at half cost. So yes, farm points. If you see a cool game like this and it's still, even putting out $30 is still tough. It's so easy to get that in points. Like,
I haven't used points on a game purchase. How do you use? No? I haven't used it. You're gonna have to show me that.
Better redeem them.
Yeah, you go to the page and just hit redeem, and you can buy a Microsoft gift card. So you can buy a $25 gift card, and it goes right to your account. So then you can just go to the store and just purchase your game.
Wow.
And like, what other subscription service even offers you something like that, though?
Right.
Exactly.
I don't get Amazon gift cards with my Prime. At least I haven't seen any.
Yeah. Well, at least there's Prime Gaming you do get, which is sweet. They're giving you Battlefield 4 and 5, 5 this month, which is pretty dope on PC. So if you have Prime, use your Prime Gaming. And you know what? If you have Amazon Prime, I got my buddy Jesse over here. Subscribe to his channel, his Twitch channel. You get one free subscription, and you know what? They do not do an auto sub, so you got to go every single month and subscribe. So, if you don't usually do that, definitely shoot Jesse a free subscription. Always a much appreciated. I would imagine. I definitely use my Prime for that. So,
great, man.
But yeah, Death's Door. I'm definitely gonna check it out. But
I used them on my survey. Not the survey. What do you call it? The contests. I wasted a lot of points entering in those contests to try to get a Surface and gift card and all that. I won't be doing that anymore, because if I can just buy a gift card,
the contest never worked out for me either.
No. But they took my points.
It's like the match 3, and it's just like 1,000 points later, they give you 1,000 points back, or something like that, right? You're just. Those are hard, but it's easy to save up points. So, and you can buy merch, you can buy tons of stuff. Like heck, if you just go hard on points and save them, this entire generation of console, let's say, you could save up enough points to buy the next Xbox.
Yeah. Wow.
That'd be interesting, right? Yeah, I wonder if anyone did that with the Xbox Series X. Very curious. All right. Well,
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I think there's probably somebody who tried doing that. Absolutely. If they know, they of course they would. Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's full Reddit. There's
or
full
at least
Reddit pages dedicated.
Paying for half of one if they even get it off the
at least
Microsoft
a Series
Store.
S.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. At least a Series S. Yeah. And how sweet is that? How good would that feel that you collected enough points and then bought your console out of that? That'd be so good.
That's the best gamer reward you could ever have, is your gaming. And now I bought a console through my gaming. That's great. That's so good.
Kids are gonna look at us and be like, "You think our gaming stuff is just a waste of time? I'm earning money here, Dad."
I'm making money.
It reminds me of like those season passes where if you complete the season pass, they give you enough currency to buy the next season pass. So, you play enough Xbox Game Pass to buy the next Xbox, right? So then keep you hooked for life. But besides Death's Door coming out,
well, it's been working for me for 21 years, right? So I'm still playing Xbox after 21 years. So they're doing something right,
Yeah, for real. And speaking of providing through Game Pass, a game came out actually on the same day as Death's Door. It was Chris Tale, which I happened to start. I did purchase Death's Door yesterday, but I did start Chris Tale as soon as it did post on Game Pass.
I will try that.
It's a very unique RPG, turn-based RPG with a interesting time mechanic. It has this past, present, and future all in one screen. and it has a beautiful art style, like a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous art style to it. And I started it the other day. I'm actually very much enjoying it. Sadly, though, and it pains me to say this, there is a game-breaking bug on Xbox right now for the game, and I really hope they fix it.
Yeah.
So you get to a point after the intro of the game where you set up camp, and essentially the game stops reading your controller input. And I thought it was the game freezing. I'm like, okay, the game froze. Okay, whatever. Let's start the game again and kind of go from there and see what happens. And I get to the same spot and it freezes. And this game doesn't have a forgiving it doesn't have autosave or anything. So like when you go back to your save file and you're like, oh, it's that save file, that's kind of, excuse me, a little annoying, but
what game did that just happen to? That just happened to me to Jedi Fallen Order, where it was asking the cloud if it was a older or new save. So there was a older save on the console or something, and a newer one in the cloud. And so it asked me which one I wanted to choose. That I never saw that. That's never prompted for me before. It's very, very odd.
So when you get to this point, it just stops like reading your controller, and your controller's not dead or anything.
Yeah.
So there is a workaround to just turn off your controller and just turn it back on. But then after that point, every time you get to a new screen, it does the same thing again. So you're constantly getting to the new screen, and you're constantly having to do this. It's enjoyable, but there is some other issues. Like I feel like the balancing between enemies is off. They hit way too hard. Like there's guys you're fighting, you're doing like 20 damage to them, and then they hit you once and they do like 62 damage to you.
Wow.
Like and like that's like half of your HP. Your HP is like 120 something, and these are characters like really early in the game.
Yeah.
So you got to be like really careful with that. And as soon as you learn your heal ability for the main character, things get a little bit more tolerable in that sense. But I've been enjoying it. What have you guys thought of? Have you seen this game? Checked it out? What's your kind of feeling on this game, Jess?
The only thing that I watched of it was the trailer. That's pretty much it, and it looks interesting. I am interested in it, but as we were talking pre-show about the bugs, maybe wait a bit and then I'll check it out, because I love turn-based. I love turn-based games. I mean, Divinity: Original Sin is one of my all-time favorite games, and I know it's not exactly like that, right? But it is. Well, it's turn-based,
like Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
like classic Final Fantasy.
All right, that's. Oh wow, I think I mixed that up with what's Divinity's like a real-time strategy.
Yeah,
really.
And more like
it's turn-based.
More like turn.
It is turn-based.
Turn-based.
Yeah,
but more like more like a tactical turn-based game.
Tactical turn-based. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm interested in it. I'll give it a go. I'll give it a download.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a shame about that bug. What do you think, Dan? Like, what did you think of the art style and the overall?
I think it looked good. I'm not always a huge turn-based fan, but it's an interesting looking game, and it's free on Game Pass. So I mean, like, I was already downloading it before I was even reading that you were getting some bugs and everything. So I checking it out a little bit, and I'll see how it goes. But yeah, I might have to wait a few days and see if they patch it or something and fix that bug. I know Prey recently had like when it came out, it had a similar issue. At some point, it just like there was a glitch with your gun or something like that, and you couldn't reload or you couldn't fire or something. And I know it had some.
Ryan, our buddy Ryan, had an issue where your like gun just like your pistol or something disappears or something like that. God, game-breaking bugs are just the worst. At least there's a workaround with this. So if you guys are patient enough to kind of deal with that. You know, it's funny. I was playing it on Game Pass cloud streaming. No issues whatsoever.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're playing it through cloud streaming, the game works completely fine. But yeah, there is that workaround. Gorgeous art style. Like literally, I could take a screenshot of this game and like print it out and put it as a piece of artwork on my wall. Like it is phenomenal looking. Very unique art style to that game, and you know I wish them the best, but it needs some balance fixes, and that bug needs to be addressed right away. But they say they're working on it, so you know, all the best for them. But you know, it's kind of a mixed blessing that Death's Door came out on the same day because everyone was talking about that instead of Crystal, which is kind of a shame. But then again, no one was talking about the fact that the game had a game-breaking bug. So
Yeah.
I didn't see it in any of the reviews I read for the game. So I guess that's kind of a mixed blessing right there, right?
Yeah.
But it is out on everything. So play it on PS4, Switch. It's on Game Pass, Xbox, PC. So. Very cool game. Very cool game. I think your girls would definitely get a kick out of it, Dan.
Oh yeah.
At least at the look out of it for sure. But
Absolutely.
talking about like, you know, more indie games, Game Pass has a phenomenal, like abnormally good end of July. And I just want to kind of go through the list of what's coming in the next like week and a half. So one, we had a great start to the week with the release, this is not on Game Pass, but the release of Death's Door and what's on Game Pass, Chris Tales. But we also got Atomic Crops, which actually looks really cool. It's a kind of a mixture of almost like a farm
Emulator?
like a Farmville game.
Oh.
Like more like Stardew Valley kind of, but with like a very unusual twist to it. A very cool game called Raji.
Waiting for that
Epic.
one. Yeah.
Actually,
really
it's up.
cool.
You can download it right now.
Nice.
Oh, good.
You can download it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and cloud streaming
there's so
too.
much good stuff. Yeah. Also, we got The Last Stop.
Cloud streaming. Yeah. It's good.
So we got The Last Stop as well. We got Blinks the Time Sweeper, which is really cool. On cloud and console, we got Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, a favorite Dan's. You're going to be able to play that on cloud and console.
For sure on the 26th. Yeah.
Speaking of hitting the skies, we also got Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know, just a tiny little indie game as well.
I cannot wait.
You know,
tiny indie game.
It's a smidgy of the indie game. We also got Lethal League Blaze, which looked kind of weird. It was like almost... I watched the trailer for it. A very unique art style. It looks like a 1v1, but you're like kicking a ball at each other. Very weird. Omno or Omono or...
Omno?
OMNO. That game actually looks really cool. It has a very interesting art style, 3D, almost looks open worldish, kind of like the opposite of Death's Door, or it looks like it's taking more inspiration from the 3D Zelda games, kind of. There's also a game called Project Windman on PC, and the one we're all excited for, The Ascent. Yeah. And this is all in like the span of like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All coming at the end of this month. And I just want to kind of reflect on
7 days.
Just the amount of...
That's a 7-day span that those games are coming out, in a 7-day span.
Yeah, and I know like the game we really want to get our hands on the most is The Ascent, just because it looks so gorgeous and it looks fun as well, and we can play it all co-op together. But Dan, any kind of standouts out of this list that you see that you're kind of itching to get your hands on?
Oh yeah, well I've heard some good things about Blinks before. I remember playing a little bit of it.
Classic.
Yeah, long time ago, but didn't get into it too hard because it was like I think it was like a game rental or something back when I played it, but I could be wrong. But Crimson Skies, I know I've been looking forward to, because that'll just be sweet to relive some of that nostalgia, and maybe we can all get on there and play a little bit or something, play some
Absolutely.
co-op or cross-play.
Yeah,
And,
there is the multiplayer.
Yeah, the Ascent we've all been waiting to check out and try. And Flight Simulator is just going to be crazy, just seeing a whole new kind of game, just streaming in like live footage basically of the Earth and
Yeah.
fly to basically wherever you want.
The rarest airport, one of the rarest airports in the world, in Nepal.
Yeah,
that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go because, like, I don't know if I was saying that in one of the podcasts, you actually need a special license to land there.
Yeah,
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like landing places that you would never ever think
and
of
in Area
seeing.
51.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Without getting shot down. Yeah.
For the Bermuda
just
Triangle.
Yeah, for real. Or like just driving
Oh,
through a storm.
what if that actually transported us to another game or something like that?
I think it'd be
That'd be
priceless.
funny,
It'd be priceless for them to program that, like, yeah, you just crash in those areas.
It'd be funny. You just come out of the cloud and then you just see like the halo ring coming up, and you're like, what the hell is what's going on here? But Jess, any standouts for you in this list?
100%. It would definitely be, for me, it's going to be Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I can't wait to play that. I'm just so excited. It's one of those games that it's going to be very lighthearted, maybe, or depending on how technical you want to get, right? But playing with a controller and then flying a Cessna over the city, or just going different places, seeing all the scenes. It's going to be more like I think a relaxing kind of experience for me, and I'm definitely looking forward to the Ascent, which I was talking about in the intro. That I'll be streaming that, and pretty much Raji as well, because I heard about that one. I think that was at one of the game conferences. I don't think it was at E3, but it was maybe something else that they announced that at. I cannot remember. And it just seems like it's going to be kind of cool. It has that cool kind of art style, and seems like an adventure. And pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. What about you, Josh?
Well, yeah, no, there's a lot of standouts there. And Jess, I think you're freezing a little bit, just to give you a little heads up.
Oh.
But we got a nice, like, a little freeze frame of you, so don't worry.
Oh, really?
But yeah. Oh, there you are.
There we go.
You snap back to normal.
Okay.
He was just staying really
we had this nice still shot of you when you were talking the whole time. But some standouts. Honestly, I kind of want to get my hands back on to Blinks the Time Sweeper. I remember very much enjoying that game.
Never played that game
when I was younger. From what I remember, you had to suck up bad guys and shoot them back at them, and you could also like freeze time. And I remember there was a very unique, like, mind you, this is a long time ago, like 20 years ago. We're talking, right? Almost. But there was a very, like, the game looked gorgeous. I remember it was beautiful. And when you froze time, if you jumped into the water, it would actually make these, like, paths.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you turn time back on, you would see all the water just kind of, like, drop and, like, go back to normal. And I thought that was the coolest thing, like, seeing that in a console game. And, like, you looked at these other, like, 3D platformers, and they didn't even come close to the graphical fidelity of that game. So I look forward to kind of just get, I got to get my kids to play that. I'd love to see Oliver get his hands on that game. So I think that would be really cool. And Flight Simulator. I want to play that so bad. Yeah. I have it on PC, which is funny, but I don't really mess with the PC downstairs. But I'm more of a console guy personally, so I look forward to playing it on my nice 4K TV.
Yes.
And yeah, Blinks and Microsoft Flight Simulator for sure. And I'll try that Lethal League Blaze. It seems weird enough
that it could be fun. And if there's a good like 1v1 to it, it could be fun to play with one of you guys. But of course the Ascent. So we are just so spoiled like in the last 7 days, and I have Death's Door to play, and I got Chris Tales, I got the Ascent, I want to play Flight Simulator. Like,
and it's really only the beginning, right? Like, honestly, they're really just starting to get going with Game Pass. Like, we've gotten a lot of really cool indie games and some big, some AAAs and older releases. But, as we continue, we're now going to start getting, like, we're talking genre-defining RPGs, shooters, different things that are day and date in Game Pass, and that to me, once we see games like Starfield entering Game Pass and Stalker is supposed to be Game Pass? No. Yeah, the Stalker 2.
I think it was, yeah.
Right? Like things like that, when those start coming out, that's when it's really going to be like, wow. Know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Avowed, all these games. Just all
I was going to say, I'm trying to get through so many games right now. Like, I just started Star Wars Squadrons. Like, I got Jedi Order to get through.
Playing that, too.
Yeah, I got still a couple more Wolfenstein games to get through. And
it's
so
like
many.
Work, kids, wife, games. And, man, it's tough.
Yeah. And on top of that, all the multiplayer games. Yeah.
Right.
It's hard to get.
And I want to play Destiny. I'm like, I want to get the Solstice armor, and like I just don't have time to just do this like grind for it. And I want to because I want to look all glowy and special.
We're supposed to finish
look glowy and special.
No, Sea of Thieves, the Tales, right? I'm on Tale 2, right?
Tale 2. We didn't even get finished that. Like,
no, and it was long, but it was really fun. It was really fun. But it was really long.
And there's still 3 more after that, so there's so much. And then we got Hades early next month, which looks fantastic. Because it was like one of the best games of last year. Yeah. There's just so much stuff coming, and it's starting to feel a little overwhelming. I wish I could just take like 2 weeks off and send the kids to the grandparents and just like go hard on playing all these games. But life as an adult, right?
Life. Yes, exactly.
But let's kind of get off the Game Pass topic and kind of talk about. It sounds like my laundry's done. But let's talk about the Samsung machines. They make this like little song, do 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 do, and it just goes on and on. I'm just like, Jesus, why is the tune so long? But not a big deal. But let's talk about Ubisoft and their big reveal this week. Tom Clancy, XDefiant. So, let me read the description of this game. So it's Tom Clancy and punk rock. This is Tom Clancy's XDefiant. Kind of looks like, to be honest, Call of Duty and Valorant. This was a super underwhelming announcement for me personally. Yeah. I just feel like they are slowly just getting out of touch of what the Tom Clancy brand is about. It's supposed to be about realistic, like hyper-realistic military espionage, right?
Yeah.
And the reveal for this is like the Tom Clancy stuff you love and punk rock. And I'm like, I don't understand who they're trying to cater this towards. So I was super underwhelmed, but Dan, what did you think of this reveal of XDefiant?
It was interesting because, I've played a lot of Tom Clancy games before. I got into it super early with my brother and everything, and this one, it's a weird combination of what is it? It's The Division, Splinter Cell, and Ghost Recon kind of all together. And those are...
Yeah, let me read the quick description of it really quick.
Yeah.
XDefiant is a new cooperative first-person shooter from Ubisoft. The game combines all of Ubisoft's Tom Clancy properties into one world, merging Splinter Cell, Rest in peace. The Division and Ghost Recon. The 6v6 shooter has been described by Ubisoft as a fast-paced firefight meets punk rock mosh pit. The game will be released as a free-to-play title later this year. So yeah, sorry Dan, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of get that description out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, yeah, it's like a weird combination because it's the 6v6 is like you're on like 4 different teams and they're all like kind of classed as those like games too. Is like one of the teams Splinter Cell, I think 2 of the teams are the Division, and then another team is Ghost Recon, and it's a weird combination of them where one team's like a tank team, one's a healer team, one's a support team, and I forget what the other one is, but it's kind of like it's kind of like a weird mix between like Valorant and kind of Call of Duty, or sorry, kind of Tom Clancy feeling.
Yeah.
But it's just weird, like kind of mash of them. Like I felt it was like I thought they were just going to take characters from all the genres and kind of put them on the different teams and everything. But they even separated the teams by class too, so it's going to be interesting to see how well that works. Yeah, like you'd think. At least most of the other shooters that I've played like that, there's several different classes all on each team, right? So having the separate classes for each team is just kind of pitting classes against each other. I'm not sure how that's going to work or how that all fits in exactly. But
Yeah.
Well, we'll see when it comes out.
Yeah.
But Jess, what did you think of this reveal of this new
oh.
Tom Clancy masterpiece?
For me it was underwhelming, but it's just really not my cup of tea at all, right? I'll very rarely play these type of games. I truly am, single player RPG, different types of action games, shooters and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So you guys know that I'm pretty biased when it comes to multiplayer shooters. This is one I'll probably not play. And you know what? It might turn out to be a hit, and all all wish and success to them. But it's just something that I probably won't pick up. Looks interesting in terms of what it's doing, but once again, just not really my thing. Yeah.
Don't you
it's a
feel
weird
they're
direction art-wise.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Don't you feel they're a little out of touch though? Like
I do, because they could really be, they've been really hitting home some really good games, right? They've been releasing some really good titles. They could have Splinter Cell. There's not going to be another Splinter Cell. Like I was really, I was hoping for something like that. Maybe would be one of their next titles, or I guess it's the trend that's going on, right? It's just, they're on a trend right now. And I guess maybe because they have been making these huge single-player games, like you're looking at Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Far Cry. This is something that is, it is multiplayer, so...
I almost feel like those are the properties they should have pulled from instead of Tom Clancy. It should have been like Ubisoft's XDefiant, right?
Yeah.
Right. Rather than that property, Dan? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I had that sort of feeling too. Like it doesn't feel exactly like a Tom Clancy game. Like you get some of the looks from Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, and everything, but it's just skins on the character really. Like the feel has a much more cartoony feel, and they said they're going to focus a lot more on the gunplay than the abilities and everything, but I'd say it's pretty hard to ignore like a giant shield wall ability that just blocks up half of the map and everything. It's going to be a kind of sillier. It doesn't fit the Tom Clancy style of everything.
Yeah, it's too fantastic, right?
Punk rock,
it's very
dude.
few.
It's punk rock.
Was just
Mosh
such
pit.
a weird mix. I could at least understand if it was just the Division or something. sometimes in that game it's a little more colorful and kind of cartoony, I guess. But like that's probably the closest you'd get. Like Ghost Recon's very dark and gritty. Like Splinter Cell's all about stealth and just black and green, and it's weird having like that punk rock mix in it. Like it makes it want to feel more like what was that game that released with the Xbox One?
Bleeding Edge.
Yeah, Bleeding Edge was a lot like that. Yeah, and there was another one too.
Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Sunset over, for sure. But like, and it also goes back to, like I was saying, I feel like they're out of touch. Like their other Tom Clancy property coming out later this year or I guess it got delayed a little bit into next year, but the new Rainbow Six game coming out is like this extraction, and it has like zombies, and it's totally just like off the wall, like Left 4 Dead style game. And I'm just like, these are not Tom Clancy games. Like, do you know what Tom Clancy is? Tom Clancy is hyper realistic.
You remember the first Ghost Recon that was on the Xbox?
Yeah, or even
I love
Future
that game,
Soldier,
man.
where
Future
they went
Soldier was
future.
amazing. Yeah, and the 360.
But they didn't get ridiculous.
No, it was still very tactical.
Future. It's super tactical still.
What was the other one too? Not off topic. Full Metal Armor or something? No, it was another tactical game. Full
Spectrum Warrior.
Full Spectrum Warrior. That type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what.
That wasn't a Ubisoft game, but that was interesting.
No. Yes, I know it was off topic.
That was a very interesting but I'd like to see a game like that with the Ubisoft, with the Tom Clancy title property to it. It almost feels like this. They should.
XDefiant's like Tom Clancy the animated series.
Yeah, it almost feels like I was listening to someone else say this. I don't know, it was Dustin Legary or something, but they're saying it almost feels like they need to put like a different label, like a black label for Tom Clancy, black label for realistic, when it should just be Tom Clancy. It shouldn't be this, like, we shouldn't have to have these ridiculous Tom Clancy game and we'll never get a hyper realistic Tom Clancy game, it seems like, ever again. Watch The Division. We're going to be, doing the floss and whatnot, running around soon enough. So, but I just feel like they're out of touch, and it's just sad to see the kind of state Ubisoft's in these days. I feel like they've been going downhill, and I don't know. Maybe they should have been purchased by Vivendi, right? Maybe it would have cleaned up the culture there.
Like I feel like the Tom Clancy brand kind of like, just you have Tom Clancy games for a reason, and like you expect a certain kind of gameplay out of them at this point, and now it's like Ubisoft has so many other franchises that it could use for those sorts of things. Like, there's no reason
I feel like
to do this.
No one's really doing that, and that's what fans want, right? There's no real company catering to that like hyper realistic demographic, like, and they were with Tom Clancy games, because you always knew you're going to get a nice tactical shooter out of a Tom Clancy game. But now it feels like that name, which, he is an author of a book, and it feels like it's almost like a branding now, and I don't know, it kind of.
Like I couldn't see like
if I was his estate and I saw that trailer, I'd be like, what the crap is this stuff with my dad's name on it or some crap like that? Like, it seems like it seems goofy, which Tom Clancy is not goofy.
Exactly, for Tom Clancy, right?
It seems like a goofy child's game when that's not what Tom Clancy games are about. But let's talk about a more positive thing with the Series S actually really showcasing what a game could, and showcasing not just the Series S in quality, but also showing how good smart delivery is with Psychonauts 2. Running on the
Excited for that
with
one.
with the smart delivery of that game, we're getting Psychonauts running at 1080p, 120 frames per second on the Series S, and 1440p at 120 frames per second on the Series X, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And it can even go higher on the Series X at 60 frames at 4K resolution. And the backwards, because it is not optimized for, it doesn't have a true PlayStation 5 version. It is running it off the backwards compatibility, but their backwards compatibility is kind of lackluster, and it doesn't really boost the game. It shows with the smart delivery, it shows how forward-thinking Xbox was, and in the end, this game it's coming out on PlayStation. It is developed by and it is published by Microsoft, but it was a crowd-funded game.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, PlayStation 5 was not on the list of those platforms that they were making the game initially for. So it's not something that wasn't necessarily promised, but the fact that the Series S can run the game better than the backwards compatible version of the game running on PS5 shows that the hardware is awesome for the Series S.
Is it going to be? It's also going to be for Xbox One as well.
Yeah, it's Xbox One game,
right.
PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X. So pretty much everything PC.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can enjoy the game on
very
odd,
odd,
but
that's very odd.
It really shines, on Series S and X, of course, with the high frame rate and the really good resolution. But this kind of just shows the value, in my opinion, of the Series S as a console.
Big time.
What a little monster that thing is, and every time I see a video of that console and the size of that thing, just this small.
Yeah,
it's so small, and it's just this little powerhouse. And if you're okay with 1080p with a good, it seems like rock solid frame rate, that console is such a win-in for Xbox, and I feel like it's just going to show its worth more and more going forward.
And it's a good point you make,
because
it's a good point you make about that, because in terms of, let's describe what the Series S is, right, and what Microsoft came out and said from the beginning. If you want that premium experience, you're going to get the Series X, right? But there's going to be such a majority of people that still only have 1080 screens that aren't even going to be able to play 4K, and that's going to go into years, right? We're fortunate that we can have these devices, but some people aren't, especially children, aren't going to have access to 1080, if it's in their bedroom or something like that. 1080 probably is where you're going to go, or 1440, right? In terms of price point. So when you're looking at that, I don't see where you can go wrong there, right? You have a machine that's going to play next-gen games. It might be at a lower resolution, but the frame rate is what most people, and performance is what most people are after, is how is this game going to play? And when you're talking 120 frames, so a console gamer is going to play 120 frames on this little tiny machine. It's absolutely impressive. And why I don't understand, I know that it wasn't the Kickstarter, you were saying it didn't include the PlayStation 5 version, but I would have thought that Sony would want to try to jump on that to showcase some of their features. They did release, and it is successful, Ratchet and Clank, and what they did with that. It's funny how this game isn't getting that next-gen treatment. It's very odd. I don't understand it, but it's not for me to understand. I'm happy that it's coming to the Series X, and I'm looking forward to playing it. It's my daughter right now is playing Psychonauts 1, and she loves it, and it's so cool. And because it's a cool art style, and it's going to be cool for her to see it and be like, oh my, that's cool. You know what I mean? Just looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know myself, like there's not many 4K TVs like around super often right now. Like they're still pretty expensive. Like I have
Yeah.
one of the very cheapest ones, and it
Me
doesn't
too.
always work properly and everything. But yeah, it's just like the Series X was
I
something
play with a
I
monitor.
invested in now, and yeah, in a few years or whatever, I'll upgrade to a nice 4K, a high frequency monitor and everything, and then I'll be able to get all of that experience. But yeah, right now, like if I didn't get the money at the right time, I would probably just have a Series S.
Mhm.
Like no reason not to. Like a lot of the stuff you can still watch some 4K and everything, just like on the Xbox One.
Oh, you're
And so,
talking
like,
media.
movies and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Your
Like,
movies, of course.
that's what I mostly used it for. Was just like throw on Netflix and everything, 4K and everything. Uh, uh, Xbox One didn't really need 4K in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Now the Xbox One Series X is like amazing for everything that I hook it up to, and I just started playing it on my TV. But yeah, it's really just like a waiting game for me to be able to upgrade to like a nice monitor for my gaming desk and actually be able to play it there all the time and see it in the higher hertz, because right now my TV is still only 60 hertz, so there's not going to be
Everything right now seems to be
anyways.
sorry. Everything right now seems to be about price point, and with everything going on right now, that is so important, and it baffles me that the competition wouldn't try to make it a little bit easier to allow gamers to experience a bunch of things. I'm not here to use anything as a punching bag or anything, but I'm being real. Like, I keep saying this is if I had a PlayStation 5, I don't know how many games I would have actually played this generation due to price point, right?
It's true.
It's other consoles too, like the Switch
Switch,
itself.
exactly. Yep.
Games are expensive, and like even with the new upgrade, like we were talking about, like it's not really what we're looking for, and like it's not saving us any money. It's just the price point isn't really there. I can't believe how many games I've been able to play with Game Pass, and I'm just thankful that I can do that as much as I do right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's another game that's coming out next month. So that's another game added to this like this amazing summer of indie games and high profile games. But I think it just kind of shines a light on they're forward thinking for software. Their smart delivery, but I'm sure later down the road there will be a PS5 native version of the game that can do all the bells and whistles the Series X can do.
Yeah.
And you know what? When that does eventually come, I don't think it'll cost $10 more. But going on to a different game, Let's talk about Warframe. They had the big TennoCon this month, actually last week, and they showed off this great 30-minute demo for the new War coming. Not a game I've played a ton of, but I have played a bit of it for sure. And it came out around the launch of the Xbox One and the PS4. And it's just been going strong ever since. And this new expansion coming out for it looks like you play as the Grenier for a bit here and there. It has this huge opening to it. The graphics look incredible.
Yeah.
And it's made by an Ontario team, Digital Extreme. They're just based down in London, Ontario, Canadian team.
Wow.
So not too far from where we are now.
Yeah.
And their fan base seems to be amazing. They expand this game so much. What do you guys think? And do you guys think you might give this a spin to get into Warframe, maybe?
Yeah, I wanna pick it up again because it's funny. When I first picked it up, it was on PC. Just to see, it was one of those free games because it's all free to play and everything. It was one of those free games that I could really test my gaming setup with. So I've tried it a few times actually. I found the story was hard to follow the first few times that I played it, but it looks like it's getting a little clearer and a little more cinematic even. And but yeah, it's always been interesting. It's just like Space Ninjas and Samurai.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're in the future, and like who doesn't want to play that?
It can be overwhelming, like kind of getting
Yeah.
into Destiny and stuff like that.
If you guys want to give it a go, then I'll definitely I'll join in and we'll all play and have a good time.
I always enjoyed the gameplay. It was it's a lot to get into, like you're saying there. There's a lot to pick up and actually learn about it. But I found even the baser stuff was still pretty fun to play.
And they've added, like over the years, they've added whole open world areas to the game. You can get these jetpacks that you can fly around. You can get full ships that you can actually walk around, fly out of the ship and invade other ships and fly back to your ship. Like, there's crazy, what do they call it, the skyjack or something like that?
Yeah.
There's crazy things that I feel like whenever I start the game that it feels like it's almost impossible to get to. I'm curious if they've kind of twerked the whole early game stuff to get to those points a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of excited, but again, there's so much to play.
Yeah.
And everything looks so good.
Yeah.
And these games feel so encompassing, like Destiny, Warframe is very similar in that vein. So yeah, I do want to play it. The 30-minute demo looked great. Anyone who hasn't seen it, go check it out. It's on YouTube. Just look up Warframe New War. And yeah, it looks really interesting. You see, even the interface for every character they switched to, like these races that you fought in the game, if you've played a little bit of it, was even like changed to look more like in tune to like what their like aesthetic feel. The team clearly loves what they do,
They did a good job.
Yeah, I like to see that they've had a lot of success, but I guess that's what happens when Tencent decides to invest in your company.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the big topic this week is, well, like I was saying at the top of the show, the very lackluster EA Play press conference. So I'll kind of just do a little quick rundown of what was shown there. So they showed Lost in Random, a kind of smaller indie-like game. They also showed off what Codemasters is bringing to the table with Grid Legends. They showed off a new Apex Legend Heroes and Battlefield Portal. Also, well, we'll kind of save that last announcement for the last thing. They showed Dead Space, so it's finally real. But what do you guys think of this show? I'm kind of obviously taking more of a negative spin to it, but I feel like there is honestly nothing here really. And
No, I don't find that there was a real big point.
Yeah.
I didn't. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, my only my takeaway from it was the Battlefield Portal looked kind of nice.
Right.
I think that'll be a good selling point for the Battlefield franchise and everything, just to actually get the community more involved with it, having the logic menus and everything that they use to build their scenes and everything. So you'll be actually able to create more of a mini campaign sort of thing, or something along those lines, where you can actually like build game modes a little more convincingly, rather than just dropping in a few map items and everything and making it look cool, and then just playing the same game modes and everything kind of that you had before, or making a few more basic ones. And I think it's going to be a lot more integrated and a lot more clear on the differences between them once people start creating them and pulling them together. Because man, the communities for all these other games and everything have built amazing maps and stuff with just the few tools that they're given with those. Given more tools and all the tools that the developers are using themselves, I'm excited to see what some people are going to create, because there's a lot of creative users out there in the community.
Yeah. I like that.
Go ahead.
No, Jesse,
No,
you were saying?
no, I was saying, yeah. So the Battlefield's Portal thing was really interesting. The fact that you're going to be able to play as a 1942 soldier and a 2042 soldier all at the same time. I kind of like that idea. That's going to be cool. So you're pretty much playing builds from all the games, which is awesome, and that was neat. EA Play, like, I don't know. I don't want to be too critical, but I wasn't really interested in it at all. In fact, I was kind of bored. I got the gist of the new games that they announced and all that, but what wasn't anything special, and I don't know if there was a big. I don't know if it was a big deal. I didn't find out until you told me, actually. I'm not the biggest EA fan right now for very probably justified reasons. They've had a couple of good titles come out, but they have a big history of sinking companies, and I'm not a big fan of that. So we'll see how EA treads water in the future. And this looks like it's a good start.
Use with Battlefield Portal.
So I'm not sure if that's just going to be a new thing with Battlefield 2042, or if it's going to be a kind of Portal on its own.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a Master Chief collection, but it sounds like they're using more so like assets from the old games and implementing them into their new version, their new engine or new version of that engine.
So it's pretty much the loadouts, right? So you'll pretty much be picking your loadouts. So one of the examples on there was it was going to be the modern technology. So it'll be a group of 6. I think it was a squad of 6 to 8.
Assets,
yeah. So it was like a squad of 6 to 8 modern 2042 warriors going against 30 1942 soldiers or multiplayers.
AI?
No, that's real.
Is that AI are all players? Because they're saying they're giving you access to their like logic board or something like that. So it looked like you could tweak their AI. I'm curious if it goes.
Pretty sure that was players. And because the 2042 or the 1942 weapons aren't as sophisticated, right? That's the kind of advantage, right? So, you're going to go through with this squad with advanced warfare and fight older warfare, and you know what I mean? That's what I got out of it, and I could be wrong.
Seeing them all fight there, yeah, it reminded me of, did you ever watch like those videos where they're like, we're going to take 100 hunters and like 300 elites and watch them like fight each other? That's almost what it looked like, in my opinion. They're just like, let's just take like, 500 medics versus like 700 assaults and see who wins. But I'm curious because they showed like, it almost looked like you can get into some programming with it. I'm curious if you can tweak AI, if people can make like their own like campaigns or stuff out of that, or script really intense moments like a big jet flying over that's not like powered by the player, that's AI powered, and it like crashes in, and just like doing insane scripted stuff within this like multiplayer experience. So I'm very curious what that will kind of bring to the table.
Yeah.
But
overall, not
Battlefield
a lot of
4 looks pretty fun.
Yeah. Overall, other than that, there wasn't a lot of like big stuff going on. It like even like you had sent us, like there's already a condensed 10-minute version, and even watching that, it felt kind of long.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like long and boring. Did you see Grid Legends? I'm like, well, how many games I got of the word legend at the end? But I'm not a fan of their graphics engine. Like, their car games,
there's moments where it can look really pretty. Like I've put in this the photo mode in Dirt on Game Pass, but when you compare it to Forza 5, like the new Grid Legends compared to what Forza 5 looks like, and that's an open world, not a linear racing track game. I feel like Grid could look so much better than what it looks like. It's just it doesn't.
EA has a lot of money
Visually. Well, it's Codemasters, right? So this game was
so I know they're publishing it.
Well, they bought Codemasters. Actually, it was funny. Take-Two was going to purchase Codemasters for less than $1 billion, and then EA came in and they're just like, no, fuck that. We're going to buy them for over $1 billion, and they stole them from Take-Two, which is really funny. So this game is clearly made under their own independent banner. So they'll probably force them to use their Frostbite engine or something. But I find their engine is just kind of boring looking. I feel like even Forza 4 looks better visually than that game.
Yeah,
like
I feel
what
like
did
a lot of their benefits, like especially in the Battlefield games, was like they were benefiting from the like NBA games. Or sorry, they like the football games and everything like that. Like Madden.
For their Frostbite engine?
Yeah, for like the animations and everything. There was a lot of like good detail in all of the animations for the people because they spend so much time on it in some of the sports games. And that's where they had like a bit of an advantage and everything, but they very quickly just like didn't do much other than that.
Yeah, well, so I can see Codemasters switching to the Frostbite engine because they've used it for a couple. They've used it for a couple Need for Speed games now. So the engine is tooled in the sense for racing and vehicles, clearly with Battlefield. But yeah, Grid racing game, whatever.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of this Lost in Random? It's kind of a quirky looking indie kind of title, so it kind of sits in the more of, EA tends to do this once a year. They'll throw a bone to an indie developer and kind of showcase it, which, in a nutshell, it's nice to see them kind of give developers a chance like this. But it had a very cute art style. It reminded me of, and this feels like everyone says it, but very Tim Burton-ish, stop motion looking game. It seemed like a third-person shooter with a card-based system to it. So you use cards as your abilities, and it looks like you can rearrange your decks for different abilities you can do. What did you guys think of the game, Jess?
It looked cool. It looked something that's neat, interesting, and if it's in EA Play and we can play it on Game Pass, and I'll check that one out for sure. Other than that, I don't really, this one, it didn't grab my attention. The conference just did not grab my attention. So
Yeah, it feels kind of like
lackluster.
Yeah,
exactly. Like not anything spectacular, just a base game.
I'm not gonna. It's not like I'm not gonna give credit to Battlefield, but we had the E3 reveals, and we've had other kind of deep dives and stuff like that. It was like that was just another deep dive that they just threw in there. And think about if they didn't have Battlefield in there, then really what would be the point of this whole thing?
Yeah, what would the point? Felt like almost like the Capcom conference from E3. It's just a waste of time. And I feel like these big companies like EA and Take-Two and like they don't need this press conference from themselves. Partner up with a Microsoft or something and just combine your show and put your stuff in their shows, because it just when you step back and look at it, it just makes it feel like you don't have anything. And I feel
Before-
like if this stuff, if it was just mixed in with like a PlayStation press conference or Xbox press conference, then it would feel like a lot more. But it just feels like a waste of energy.
Yeah,
for our listeners, sorry, I just wanted to point this out for our listeners. We might be a little bit critical, but we don't want to offend anybody, because if you did like the conference, and that is good, and if you like the games that you saw in there, it was just, you're going to get our honest opinions of what we thought. There you go.
Yeah, and it's not like the announcements were bad, and I feel like we're not being negative on the announcements. It just feels like there wasn't a need for this kind of, they announced it a month ago, and there's all this like kind of lead up to just a small kind of disappointing show that didn't really give much, where all these things could have just been their own kind of separate announcements put out there.
Like, it almost feels kind of tacked on afterwards, where they didn't feel like there was enough attention on them. Like, it would have been kind of more realistic to even just have it as like the ePlay after show of E3 or something like that.
Right.
Like, such a showcase on Xbox and everything. Like, why not just have like EA Play after that? Like, because they're already associated through Game Pass and everything. Like, you're getting EA with like the EA Pass with Game Pass. And so, like, why not just, like, kind of tack those together or something? Like, have it be, like, a little bit more exciting of a longer show and everything, rather than just having it so separate, only announcing it kind of, like, a month before, and, like, nothing really, like, blowing away on it. Like, is it really worth a whole conference on it?
Yeah, like the time, because that there's time that goes into making these things, right? Like,
it feels more like a like new games on Xbox Gold or PlayStation Plus or whatever, rather than a like, oh, here's a conference on the next big things that we're going to be doing. It's like, that's all the next big things that you're going to be doing right now, then.
And that speaks volumes of the company that we're talking about here, right? Like, come on, we're like, let's not shy away from that. It is EA, right? They're not the most popular publisher.
I'm surprised I didn't have to pay for a ticket.
Well, they're popular. They're just not the most beloved publisher right now, right? But I feel like their biggest announcement was already spoiled, though. And that kind of ruined the end of the press conference, because we all knew it was coming. Dead Space is getting the remastered treatment. And again, like we were saying, if not our last show, a couple shows ago, I feel like Dead Space, if there is any series that does not need a remaster, well, if anything, it just needs HD re-release, or a trilogy in the vein of Mass Effect Legacy Edition. All they had to do was really just Legacy Edition the game, or change the entire graphics engine, but just literally just do the same thing they did. Like, the games didn't need to be remade.
No,
but
it is so good.
They're doing it in the vein of Resident Evil 2. Which Resident Evil 2 makes sense because it's a PlayStation 1 game we're talking about here, but not a 360 game, which 360 is not terribly long ago. And it's not like game design and third-person shooter has changed much since then. I'd say things just look really pretty.
We were just trying to play multiplayer on that game. That game looks great on a Series X, right? Like, I don't understand it. I would have more preferred if they were telling me that it's going to be a sequel to the series. You know what I mean? If it was a next installment. This is just
if they
lazy.
announced two things: the trilogy, HD remake, and Dead Space 4.
Right.
What a fantastic
Dead Space 4, a live planet.
Right.
Yeah, for real. But so I feel like at least their big surprise was already ruined, as it did get leaked. So that's a shame for Motive. But, Motive has a lot to prove with Dead Space. I hope the best for this. But, man, this would have been so much better, like I said, if this was at the end of either like a PlayStation conference or Xbox conference. It just, yeah. All in all, I give it
Kinda like
a
fart
5
in the
out of
wind.
10. Yeah, fart in the wind, right?
Just gonna
And it was like a lackluster announcement trailer. It was exactly what we thought it was going to be, like a quick shot of Isaac with his back with the spinal cord thing, and then it cuts, and you're just like, oh, Dead Space is coming back. Oh, and you know what? It's using Frostbite, so they're forcing that down their throat.
It's
like,
coming to Grid. It's coming to Grid.
Yeah, right. And they're just like, you're going to use our proprietary engine. And I love how Respawn is just like, yeah, we're not good at that engine, so we're not going to use it.
I was watching, so they had it on Twitch, right? And so I am going to, Angry Joe has a Twitch show, and they were mocking it too, because they were saying, because during the interview, they were saying, you know, this is the last time. They're so excited because this is the last time we're going to be a company, because EA is going to come in and shut everything down and take us apart. Oh, man. That was their review of it. So, you know, we're not the only ones, right? Those guys are, yeah.
And to kind of pad out the rest of their conference, they announced a new season and legend for Apex Legend, and they announced a new season for Knockout City, which seems to be pretty successful for them. So I don't play any of those games really, not much of an Apex Legends guy, but I like to see Apex growing as a franchise. And they added, like, actually I might kind of jump into Apex because they added like more of an arena mode to the game. So kind of like a 3v3 game mode to the game. So I might jump in and take a look at it again. But yeah, all in all, I give it about 5 out of 10. What do you think? What would you give this press conference score, Dan?
I give it 2.5 out of 5.
Out of 5. Okay, so I'm in the 10 scale. You're in the 5 scale. Okay. 2.5 out of 5. You're giving it 50%. Not bad, right? I guess I gave it 5 out of 10.
That's
so,
what I mean. Like maybe 6 out of 10. I mean, with the Battlefield portal was at least somewhat exciting for me to see the programming side of things. So I mean, yeah, a little bit over 5 out of 10, and it was interesting at least. So.
No, I think I'm gonna stick to my. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to my original. I originally said 5, but I was being generous because I wanted to give them a 2, and the reason why I give them a 2 is because I am very excited for Battlefield already. You didn't have to shove anything more down my throat.
You didn't have to.
You didn't. I'm ready for that game.
You should have said Game Pass, though.
You should have said Game Pass. So that didn't happen. There you go. Marks off. And then I don't want this. You know how I feel about remakes and or remasters or certain things, right? I'm more.
So it's like a reimagining more.
I am okay with it if it is something that is coming from, let's say, a PlayStation 1 or a Super Nintendo or even
something that
Sega.
Needed it.
That's something that needed a remake. But these games that are not even, well, maybe this game is not, how old is this? 10 years old, maybe? You know, come on, right?
Like Halo 1 and 2, right? You can press the button, it switches you back and forth to the new and old graphics, but the gameplay still held up.
Master Chief, exactly. The gameplay still held up. So that's why I gave it a 2. And yeah, that's a little harsh because it's not even it didn't give chance for the other titles in there, but it was just, once again, not the biggest EA fan. I don't play a lot of their games. I mean, the only one that I'm playing right now is Jedi, and that's a good game. So two a solid.
I feel like that's Respawn. You're a fan of Respawn.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I am. Yeah. So that's.
And I feel like Respawn kind of like acts like their own boss there. They're just like, oh yeah, no, like they didn't use their proprietary engine. They use Source Engine for, they used the Source Engine for Titanfall and Apex, and they used Unreal for their Star Wars game.
So and then EA said there's going to be no Titanfall sequel. That is Titanfall
That's a
2.
shame.
Oh, Titanfall 2 was such a fun experience when I just recently played it, and the only thing that it left me wanting a third. I want another one because it was just so great, and just imagine with this gen's technology what they could do with that title. They should rethink that one. They should really rethink that one.
Yeah, I always felt like Titanfall was the Mech Warrior that I wanted more.
Me too.
I remember being like in Mech Warrior, like having my mech explode and being the little dude running around and basically just waiting to die.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything you could do like that. There's barely, well, you could do some stuff, but you had to be very careful about it. In Titanfall, it's just like that's the game. It's like you're out of the Titan and you get them to actually play the big heavy duty roles.
Yep. And it's just so cool. You were going, you know what I mean? You're teaming up with your Titan if you're on the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like there is a third one coming. I feel like these consoles, the power of these consoles, just screams for a Titanfall 3. Like, man, imagine like bumping up the player amount, adding maybe a couple flying vehicles. There's this and more like AI bots on the world, more stuff just like crashing down and just like the chaos.
Like 10
there's
Titans
moments
on a map just smashing through buildings.
Yeah, there's just moments where you're like wall running and there's just stuff coming down and you're like jumping off, you're popping guys left and right. They get this like really there's very interesting gameplay moments from Titanfall that almost feels like this super grandiose battle but almost condensed into this really open corridor. And I feel like they have an opportunity there to take that even to a higher level. Like imagine if there was like ships that you could fly around and you're like holding on to the side as the pilot and then you just like jump off or something and or like you're riding your Titan like down while it's falling or something, or you jump out of a plane while your Titan's falling down and you just grab it halfway down or something like that. Like give me that moment where you jump out of the jet and shoot another jet in Battlefield, but a Titanfall spin to it, you know? Like I feel like they have a good opportunity to
just a mass amount of players like having a Titan rolling around with like 4 guys on top just like covering you.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to see something crazy.
Like,
yeah.
They could do so
or
much.
just like massive, huge moving platform Titans that almost is like a multiplayer level that walks around. Like, give me something ridiculous.
Yeah. They could do that, but will they do that? Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Right? We'll have to wait till next week.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
But yeah, with that in intel, you know, that's pretty much for this week's episode of the Xbox North podcast.
How'd you like hosting?
Well, yeah. If you notice, I was a little nervous, right? But no, hosting was not great, bad, man. And I'll get more into the swing of things. You know, there will be times in the future where I'll have to host here and there. So forgive me this week. You know, I like to keep my ums and ahs in there, so that's for sure. So don't think I don't notice. So I'm my harshest critic, right? But for that, don't forget to hit the subscribe and, you know, hit the bell and feel free to leave a comment on the bottom. Definitely love to hear from you guys. It is interesting. I was looking at our analytics on our audio, and we have somebody who listened to us in Germany. So that awesome. One German listener.
Thank you.
Leave a comment. Yeah, thank you. it always blows my mind.
Just that one Canadian guy sitting at home with a VPN. It's like, yeah, I'm German.
He's just switching, right? Leave a comment. Always love to hear from you guys. And also, find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Pocket Cast. Just look up Xbox North. Jesse, where can they find you?
You can find me on, Xbox. My gamer tag is JD Pro 2015, and also on Twitch. You can find me. We're going to get back to you in probably August once the Ascent comes out.
And what about you, Dan?
I'm just Shanks Muchley online. It's my gamer tag, so if you end up seeing me online, you want to play something, let me know, and I'll probably have to leave and go look after my kids.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Here we go.
Josh,
Okay.
how about you?
You can find me at False God.
That's why my screen was going black. I'm sorry.
I think we all froze there for a second. But yeah, you can find me at False God on Xbox. You can also, I run our Twitter, so you can find me at North Xbox. So you can shoot me a DM if you want, or anything like that, or shoot us a follow. Always taking a look on there. But yeah, no, it was awesome talking to you guys this week. And we'll see you guys next Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.